Hello YouTube, welcome back. Welcome to my videos. Haven't posted anything in a while, and that's because everything on my hard drive got corrupted, so I lost all the videos that I was currently working on. I had a bunch of Elite Battlegrounds, some custom matches that I really wanted to put up there. Just never got them out in time before my hard drive got corrupted, so had to start everything from scratch. Someone requested Thrain, so I'm doing Thrain. Don't have the same gamer tag. Nobody knows where TK the Giant is. We're still trying to find him. So this is the Thrain. You can consider this part 1. It's going to be a short video. There's a lot of different ways I like to play Thrain. He is good tank and AP hybrid. But in this video I'm doing all damage, which is all AP. Just really enhancing his abilities. Primarily his A ability and his ultimate, which can do a ton of damage, especially in a group fight, because it does true damage. Alright, so Thrain with his passive is Dwarven Fortitude. If Thrain's health falls below 20%, he calls upon the strength of his ancestors and recovers 1% of his total health each second. So you can see if you stack some health and you're below 20 that this could be quite a good relic. I'm going AP, so I'm not going to really benefit to the full extent running extra health, but I will be super strong. Thrain has some really great abilities. He has some controlling effects that are really helpful. He also has a buff that gives him resistance, which is also very useful. I think he's a very good initiator. He's good for just starting off a group team fight as a secondary tank. But can also play the role, I believe, as a primary tank. Just depends on your skill, knowing who you're matched up against. So the first ability that I always level up first is Clear the Path, and what that does with a mighty throw, Thrain hurls his hammer into the enemies, and enemies in the path receive 25 up to 135 ability damage and are slowed. And their movement speed is reduced by 25%, stacking up to 40% for 3 seconds. And enemies caught in the return path of the hammer suffer the same fates. So this ability is great if you can get the hammer when it goes out in a straight line and comes back. It's a little bit of a skill shot. It's Thrain's bread and butter. It's kind of like your spam ability, but you want to be careful with it. The second ability I always level up is Dwarven Valor, and that's because I want the resistance. I always find resistance very useful early game and late game, especially when you get to level 6 or something, when you're going to see a lot more team fights. So that's always the second ability I level up. And what that does with the Mighty Dwarven Kings, Thrain girds himself for battle. While Dwarven Valor is active for 5 seconds, the Guardian reduces the duration of controlling effects such as stun, slow, fear, root, and silence by 30%, which is huge. Additionally, basic attack damage is reduced up into 35%, and it's equal for ability and the basic damage. So I always like to pop that ability when I'm going into a group fight or I know I'm about to take some damage. Lasts for 5 seconds, which is very useful. So it's kind of one of the first abilities I pop up right when I go into a battle. The next ability I will level up is Lethal Blow when you're level 5. That's Thrain's ultimate, and Lethal Blow delivers a sweeping blow, striking all enemies within close range for 95 up into 290 true damage, and rooting them for 0.8 seconds up into 1.1. No big change there. Preventing them from moving, and this ability gains a moderate benefit from increased ability power. Compared to your A ability, Clear the Path, what I like about this one is if you're in the radius when it goes off, I believe for the most part that it keeps them in there. When you throw out your hammer with Clear the Path, enemies can still freely move about in and out of your the damage zone, or whatever you want to call it. So The ultimate works a lot better, and it does true damage. It does 290 fully leveled, so 300 true damage is really good. I'm going all AP here with damage, so I'm going to do about 500 damage, and it can affect multiple targets, which is awesome. So if that's one of the first abilities that goes off in a group fight, already all of the enemy team, if it's strikers, maybe some enchanters too, tacticians, they're going to be half health right off the bat, which is very useful. Usually what I do is if I have a lightning, I'll pop that off first whenever to get the 25% current health down, and then I'll use the ultimate, and you'll really just do a ton of damage. Really all you have to do is hope that they don't have a good healer. So then the last ability that I level would be Durin's Wrath, and Thrain brings the hammer down, the fierce blow, rending the very earth from long distance before him, causing knock-up to affected guardians and creatures, sending them helplessly into the air for a time and reducing their resistances to basic and ability for 4 up to 13% for 4 seconds. So it doesn't reduce it too much, but it's also in a team fight, it adds up. I usually like to have that as the first ability, or I save that if I know, say I'm going up against a Mouth of Sauron, somebody who I know that I need a knock-up to really cancel their abilities. Use it on Lug Bowl too. Any guardian that you just want to disrupt their ability. Knock-ups are very useful. Works well on Goblin King too. So that's usually what I go in with first, because everyone likes to get their abilities off first when they're running to a group fight. That's why I think Thrain's a good initiator. I can knock them up, stop them from maybe casting one of their ultimates, running it wasted. And so then I usually pop my Dwarven Valor to give me that resistance to run in there close enough. And then I do my ultimate. That's usually the combination I do. Clear the path. I always just kind of play it by ear, I guess. I just kind of feel the situation. I can do that one first to knock a few more health off. You can see right there I use the clear the path and then my ultimate, so it's a very strong ability. That's why I like AP Thrain, level 4. You're already doing a ton of damage. Level 4 with my loadout, you're going to have 132 ability power, and when you hit level 12 and you unlock Westernese Relic, you'll have about 400 AP, and that's when you'll really start doing a lot more damage. And then fully leveled, you'll have about 450 in ability power. And that's really going to buff your ultimate mostly, and that's really what I'm trying to do here. AP with Thrain is really what I see a lot of people play him more of lately. I think originally I used to see people do a lot more tank builds. I do like running Grey Company, and anything kind of hybrid health would work really well. I could even just slide the Westernese over to be my first relic and just put a health relic at the end, or just run Grey Company like I said, and then even more health relic. Really, I think the loadout that you should play with Thrain just depends on what the composition on your team is. If you have no tank, then I believe you can really fulfill the tank role if you have enough damage, because your Dwarven Valor is going to give you a big boost in resistance, even though it is for about 5 seconds. It can be enough to just take a lot of the damage, absorb it with a big health pool, and then allow everybody to get off their damage as well as their damage as well. So getting back on topic of the loadout that I'm running right now, this is what I consider a damage belt for Thrain. Buffing his abilities is going to be the best way to go. You don't want to go damage. It's not really going to do much. His abilities are very good. He's a hybrid, what I call a hybrid AP warrior. A warrior that can do good with AP and health. Kind of like Arathorn. So this is a pretty popular loadout, I think. I think I see this pretty regularly, pretty much on any AP Guardian. It gives you the early game, mid to late game, really just gives you sustain of AP throughout the levels. Works well on Thrain. I also like to sometimes put some lifesteal gems on Thrain. It works pretty well. You'd be surprised. At least try to put 2 on, 2 to 4. It's really, when I notice it, really contribute, get back a bunch of your health when you throw that that hammer. It's nice because you can dip that in when somebody's just sitting at their tower. It continues to whittle their health down, while you can sustain or even gain more health. So you can see there I got caught in the tower, got a little bit greedy. Definitely got caught out of position, wanted to avoid that. But the loadout I have here is Seed of Seeing, and what that does is for every Sapphire in your belt, you gain plus 14 ability power. And then the other relic, which I mentioned before, is Western Ease, and you get plus 2 ability penetration per level and plus 16 ability power per level. Now penetration's not going to do much for your ultimate because that's true damage, actually won't do anything. But I like penetration for the A ability. I do get a lot of kills with that, so I like to make sure that I have a little bit of penetration so I have more balanced damage. Really, defenders and enchanters are the ones with the higher resistance, so I want to be able to do more damage to them. I do a lot more damage to the enchanters because they have a lower health pool, and my abilities can do a lot of damage. Now, the commands I go with are always health, and then I run either spiked armor for added, because I am an initiator and I will be taking damage. It's very necessary, especially with a damage Thrain where I don't have a lot of health. I need to take less damage if I'm going to be running in there first. Otherwise, I would take a smite, which is usually what most people do. And then the third command is always lightning, and that's usually the one I always use. It's awesome, really overused, but it'll be very devastating with Thrain particularly, and I think equally with Mozgog, because they have ultimates that do area damage for a lot. With Thrain, if you go in there, even against a defender or another tank, taking 25% of their health, plus the little added ability damage, and then using your ultimate, will just take out a ton of damage right off the bat. And if you have enough damage behind you, and some heals, everybody can just finish up the kills after that, if there's no counter to that. As you can see there, I got another kill with my A ability. That is why, like I said again, I like to have the penetration. This was a pretty short video. Just want to get a video out there. Haven't posted anything in a while. I want to thank you guys for still watching and being interested. Really, when I hear more from you guys, it makes me want to make more videos. So if I hear more posts, what people want, I'll keep posting stuff. And I'll have another Thrain video coming out next, where I show me using more of a tank role, balance between AP and health. So thanks guys, and keep watching, subscribe.